That Don't Sound Right is a podcast about talking the way we did before the internet, when you could not prove anyone right or wrong.
All the expertise was contained in the people involved with the conversation. I'm Peter.
I'm Cecil, and I hope you enjoy our conversations. And as you listen, if you find yourself silently saying, "That don't sound right," send us a comment. You're one of us. I was about 29 years old. I was getting ready to turn 30.
Okay.
So I should have known better.
Okay.
Maybe.
I'll cut you some slack still. Hey, everybody, and welcome to another episode of That Don't Sound Right. This is a podcast about talking, but tonight it's a podcast about arm wrestling?
Right.
Well, I'm Peter Bielman. I'm your co-host.
And I'm Cecil Davis, your other co-host.
We're hoping to have a conversation here tonight about arm wrestling, and we're going to do it in such a way where I'm not going to fact check Cecil, and he is not going to try to debunk anything I say by Googling it.
So this came from one of our listeners, probably our bravest listener, because he binged listened to our episodes, all of our episodes, on a trip from Washington, D.C. to Atlanta, which I don't think we recommend or is safe in any way.
Did he have to stop and take naps? Or
I don't know.
I mean, between falling asleep and having the desire to throw your phone out the window, I would think one of those two would have happened.
Right. Yeah. Right. So this is actually my brother. So this idea comes from him.
All right.
So when my wife was pregnant with our first child, I was about 29 years old. I was getting ready to turn 30. Okay. So I should have known better.
Okay.
Maybe.
I'll cut you some slack still.
But I need a little bit of backstory for you.
Okay.
All right. So growing up, I would arm wrestle my dad, and my brother would arm wrestle my dad. So I would arm wrestle my dad, my brother would arm wrestle my dad, and we would arm wrestle each other.
All right.
And so there was a stool that we would set up, and then we had these rules, and of course my dad would always win.
Right. Of course.
My dad was. Now my brother started lifting weights in high school.
Remind me, your brother is older or younger?
He's younger.
By how much?
3 years.
Okay.
2.5 years.
Well, now we're splitting hairs.
Right. So he started lifting weights. Now he got to where he was strong as a horse.
All right.
Yeah. This went on for years, this arm wrestling thing, trying to beat Dad.
Like what age would you say this all started?
Probably 12, 13, 14.
Okay.
But as we got older and then Brian got bigger, he could hang in there with Dad pretty good. But I could still hang in there with them also, even though I was not lifting weights.
Right.
But we'd always do this when we would come home. We'd come home from college, and pretty much the first thing that would happen is we would arm wrestle.
Oh, this is from college, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So now we're up in college. And so you come home, and then after we got married, we'd still come home, and the first thing that would happen is that...
Oh, no kidding.
Yeah. So we'd come home, and you'd arm wrestle Dad, or you'd arm wrestle each other, and that was just what would happen.
And what was the record as we progressed?
Well, Dad always won. I don't know that.
Won.
Yeah, I don't think.
Really?
He's got it. Yeah, he grew up on his strength is bone up.
That's right.
But anyways, my brother got very strong, physically strong. Anyway, so he came to see me at this time when we were living in Asheville, and so Christy's pregnant and with our first, and of course the thing that we do first when we see each other is we
arm wrestle.
The arm wrestle. So, but we had traded back and forth on some, winning over the years. But he had gotten where he could. I mean, he was strong. And he is strong.
He's pretty consistent.
Yeah, he's pretty consistent.
Okay.
But I had decided that I was not going to go down.
Oh, so you did a little prep work.
Yeah. I was not. Oh. Yeah, even if I didn't win, I wasn't going to lose. So I was going to.
You're going to have to explain that. Because it's arm wrestling.
I may not be able to put his arm down, but my arm was not going down either. It was just going to. We were just going to stand there and stare at each other forever.
Okay, all right.
But nobody was moving.
Long-term tie.
This was going to be a long-term tie, and I decided in my mind that no matter what happened, my arm was not going down.
So you manifested this tie.
And manifested this. So there we were in the kitchen, and we had some friends with us.
Okay.
And so 3 of us were in the kitchen, me, my brother, and my friend. And we're arm wrestling, as we always do.
Did your friend participate, or was he just a?
No, he was just a spectator. He was a spectator. He may have tried one of
He
us.
was just watching in curiosity,
yeah.
awe, and maybe a little disgust.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah. And so we're doing our regular arm wrestling thing, and I'm not going to go down. Well, we hear a snap, an audible snap that can be heard in the room.
No.
Yeah. And my arm goes down, and we both kind of, when we hear the snap, we both freeze and look at each other for a minute.
Was that you? Was that me?
Yeah, because we can't quite. And for some reason, he stopped pulling at that second. Like it was. We can't really fully explain what happened in the way that it happened.
I am getting the willies right now.
Yeah, and so as it happened, we. And it's funny because we both thought something horrible. Like he tells, as he recounts the story, he's like, "I thought you had cancer or something," because we now it's dawning on us that my arm just broke.
Okay,
Yeah. So my arm snapped from about just a little above the elbow, transversely across the bone up to just below my shoulder.
Oh, so it was your.
It was my.
What's that? What's that bone called? You have the ulna and the radius in your forearm. What's the one in your?
Is that
your upper arm? What is that?
I can't. I don't know.
But it's just one bone.
It's just one bone.
And it broke. Like a spiral snap.
Like not quite a spiral snap, but it was bad. And so, anyways,
Cecil.
Yeah.
This is unbelievable.
Yeah, it don't sound right, does it?
That don't sound right.
And so
you can break your arm from arm wrestling?
Oh yeah. Professional arm wrestles. This happens routinely in professional arm wrestling.
Routinely.
Yeah, routinely. I would say you never watched Sylvester Stallone in Over the Top?
No, I definitely didn't watch that one.
No, it does happen in professional arm wrestling.
Okay.
So my arm snaps. So now all kinds of horrible things came between me and Brian's mind just because of the way we were wired, I guess, that something was wrong, that this has occurred, like something was wrong with my bone.
Did it hurt?
Well, now the pain is starting to set in. And so they call the ambulance.
Yeah.
So my brother's a police officer at this time.
All right.
But we're all kind of in a state of like unbelief as to what's happening. And the 911 operator says, "I think something's going on there. I'm going to send the police." So my brother says, "I am the police. You need to send the ambulance emergency lights." And so anyways, they're running the ambulance comes.
Tell me about the 911 call, Cecil.
Yeah, so we called 911 to come get me.
Can we reenact it? Hello, this is 911.
Yeah, so we got to tell them.
What's your emergency?
Yeah, I think we just said broken arm. I don't think we told them how we broke the arm at that time. And so the ambulance comes against me.
No, seriously, this phone call with the 911. I mean, how did that go down?
Well, I think they could hear us in the back. Like Christy was upset. I was in a lot of pain by this point, so they thought something else was going on, like I don't know, a fight or something. I don't know what. And so that's when my brother said that he was.
I am the police.
I am the police.
Send the lights.
Yeah. So
wait, what term did he use?
Emergency traffic. So that's running your lights.
Okay.
Yeah, and so the ambulance shows up. My father-in-law is a firefighter, and one of his hunting buddies was a firefighter in this town, heard the call, recognized the address, so the fire department shows up.
No.
So we got the ambulance there, the fire department there.
And the blue lights.
Well, they didn't bring the police.
Okay.
They loaded me up in the ambulance.
Well, where was your brother a policeman at? In that town too?
In Gaston County.
Oh, so he was just real close by.
Yeah, I mean, he wasn't in his jurisdiction.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so they load me into the thing. At this point, I'm in so much pain, they have to stop the ambulance to get me hooked up to morphine.
Do they really?
Yeah.
Like, how do they isolate the arm?
Well, that's the other interesting thing. So at this point, they don't know. They know my arm's broke, but they're not sure what exactly has happened. So I get to the hospital, and the person that's in there,
I am dying, Cecil. I am dying right here.
They can't quite figure out what's going on. So they splint me, but they splint my forearm. So thank God there was the orthopedic surgeon on call that night. The orthopedic surgeon comes in and looks at me there, and he's like, "What have they done?" He said, "They've splinted the wrong." And of course, all this time I'm in I'm in like a
I mean, you realize which part of your arm is broken,
right,
do you?
but I'm now kind of zonked on morphine by this
But
point.
before that, you knew it was your upper arm.
I was not quite sure what.
Okay,
yeah,
all right.
and so
So what was
I mean, I
this-
knew where the pain was coming from.
What was the sensation? Like you tried to bend your arm at the elbow, and
Yeah, you could just tell it was broke.
something else, it would move in a different way.
Yeah, I can't really even remember all
But
the
this
stuff.
is from arm wrestling.
arm wrestling. Yeah.
And so our listeners are saying, what is so? Our listeners might wonder, why are we talking about this?
Right.
If you kind of got in the middle of this conversation, which I hope you haven't. Our conversation's only lasts 18 minutes.
Right.
But the reason we're talking about this is that it just doesn't sound right that you could break your arm wrestling.
Right.
I'm still a little
Yeah.
I'm still a little upside down about that.
So just to be
I'm
clear
not going to
here.
Google it because the pictures will make me throw up.
Yeah. So for the record, I did not lose
I don't know how you can say that.
because my arm did not go down; it broke.
Actually, I guess who let off first?
Yeah. So I joked around for years. I have X-ray proof that my arm was still in the going in the right position.
Clenched
It broke.
position, right.
So the orthopedic surgeon comes in and he figures out what's going on and he braces the correct part of my arm, and then they cast me in a weighted cast a few days later that's going to pull the bones back into
A weighted
alignment.
cast. I've never heard of a
yeah.
weighted
So they kind of
cast.
tie your wrist to your neck, and then they really add the weight to the bottom of
No
your
kidding.
and so that way I didn't have to have surgery to repair it. So I've still got like a 7% angle in that arm because they only corrected it so much.
What do you mean a 7% angle?
So like the bone healed at a slight curve. you
Oh,
know?
no kidding.
Yeah, it's a little. It's not. It didn't heal straight, but it healed close enough to straight that
I mean,
they let
are
it go.
you sure it's 70 degrees?
7%.
7%?
Yeah, 7% off the straight. 7
Okay.
degrees, I guess.
7
Yeah,
degrees.
7 degrees.
That's a
probably
lot.
better. Yeah. Yeah, you
Can
can
you
tell
tell
it
if you, like,
Yeah,
can
if
you
you
stretch
stretch
your arm?
out. Yeah, if you stretch your arm, like if you see me stretch
you
out
can-
this way,
Okay.
you can see the curve.
Is it your left arm?
Right arm.
Right arm.
Now remember, Christy's very pregnant at this point in time. So
Oh,
now
my
I
gracious.
am in a
You're in a weighted
very
cast.
big cast.
Yeah.
I'm out of work because I can't drive because I have to drive for work. This is before COVID when we did any type of remote kind of work.
Right.
So I was driving every day. I mean, not just driving to work, but driving for work. So I would have to drive long distances for work. And so I was out of work for like 30 days.
Oh, my gracious.
Christy's pregnant.
How pregnant was she?
So this happened in like January, and she was due in May.
So, our daughters are going to be horrified by this story because I also broke a bone
Uh-huh.
while Bunny was pregnant with our first child.
Really?
Yes,
Oh, they already think we have way too much in common.
way too much in common. But
Yeah.
this is Cecil. Seriously,
No,
this
believe
is
me.
this is another thing. I broke my leg.
Oh, really? Arm wrestling?
No, sliding into home plate in a pickup game of softball.
Oh, I think you've told me about this.
Bunny was pregnant with Jack.
Oh, wow. How pregnant?
7 months? No.
Oh, wow.
No, she was. I think this happened. It was the first nice weekend of spring, so it was in April.
Mm-hmm.
She was due in July.
Right.
So yeah, about 6 months.
Wow.
Oh yeah, I was out of work for a month.
Yep.
I couldn't drive because I was in a huge cast. You know, I was a cast from my foot all the way up to my hip.
Right.
Yeah.
Sorry.
That is no. I mean, this is just another eerie. This is just another eerie thing we have in
Yeah.
common.
So I think the words of wisdom are:
Oh, what's this?
once your brother starts lifting weights and becomes significantly stronger than you, don't arm wrestle him anymore.
Yeah, I mean, there's actually several words of wisdom.
Yeah. So
Don't do any risky things while your wife's
Once
pregnant.
your wife's pregnant. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, but everybody wanted a piece of my arm after that because my dad said, "Well, I think your arm may have started to break when I was arm wrestling a few weeks before that." I was like,
Now, the question is, Cecil, when you take two pieces of metal and you break them up
Right.
and you weld them together, the weld is actually stronger than the original piece.
Yes.
Is that true about your bone?
that is true about the bone.
Have you gone back to arm wrestling?
I have not.
Have you not?
Nope, my mother forbid it.
Your mother.
We cannot arm wrestle anymore. There's been no arm wrestling since
Are
that.
you not even between your dad and your brother?
Nope, no more.
Wow, that's an end of an era.
I think there has been one, like, like exhibition match. And I pulled against Brian just a little bit just to kind of see where we're at years later.
Right, yeah.
But there's been no seriously
kidding.
arm
Not
wrestling.
even left-handed.
Mm-hmm. I think I have arm wrestled one other person, non-family related, since that break. The funny thing is I could beat people at arm wrestling because I arm wrestled Dad and Brian.
Oh yeah,
even though I'm not a big guy,
you had
I could
the technique.
still. Yeah,
you had the technique. You developed those
Yeah.
muscles.
Like I don't think anybody ever beat me in arm wrestling except for Brian and Dad.
No kidding.
Yep. Even bigger guys.
And your bone finally said, "No." That is spectacular.
So that does not sound right at all. But
you're
that did
right.
occur.
That doesn't. You probably don't have a copy of the X-ray. I would.
Oh yeah, no, I've got a copy downstairs.
Let's get that on the Instagram.
Oh yeah.
Okay, let's get that.
I'm pretty sure I've still got one
Let's
downstairs.
get that on Instagram. That's going to be if for our listeners or new listeners, we have a website thatdon'tsoundright.com. I try to put a little funny picture that's related to the episode. I think your X-ray needs to be the picture.
Yeah, so like, I can be triggered by things. So if you're triggered by terrible breaks, you may not want to look at the picture.
Oh yeah, sure, right. But there's no hardware in this, is there? It's
there's no hardware.
Okay.
No, it's clean. It's a clean break. So yeah, but you can still so some people how they'll punch you in the arm or pat you on the arm as they go by you. For some reason, people tend to land right where that break, one end of that break, and it's still very sensitive.
Is it really?
Yeah. Yeah, I don't like for people to hit me in the arm.
Yeah, but I don't. Yeah, I don't blame it
because the knot is right there.
Well, I don't play softball anymore because I'm afraid the ball's going to hit my leg and shatter into a million pieces. Yeah. Even though I broke it sliding and not playing.
Right. It was just one break.
That was both the bones. Breaking off.
Oh wow, that's a.
But that's another grim story. Yeah. But the thing there's two things that don't sound right about this whole thing.
Yeah.
First, that you broke it.
Arm wrestling.
Yeah. And that you broke your arm at the same stage of life. I broke my leg.
Yeah, our kids will be absolutely horrified by this.
Okay.
So that is the arm wrestling. That is the arm wrestling episode of That Don't Sound Right. Yeah,
this is messed up.
Yeah, it's and as you can imagine, trying to tell this story to people, it's not a very believable story.
No, it's not.
You almost have to bring the X-ray with you.
Yeah,
and show
me that.
Have my brother and the X-ray with me. Yeah,
straighten your arm out. Show them how crooked your arm is.
Right. Yeah, and so, but my wife will completely corroborate this story.
Oh, I bet she will.
Yeah,
with eyes rolling.
Yep. But one time, but you get you get jumpy about it because I was sitting in one of those resin chairs one time, the plastic chairs that you have at the pool.
Yeah.
And it snapped. You know how the back will sometimes snap?
Oh, I've never had that happen.
Yeah. And
I've always envisioned them happening because they get kind of flimsy.
Yep. And so one of those, after this happened, one of them snapped when I was sitting with my brother. We're like, oh my gosh, that sounded just like that.
That's the sound.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. So, well, if you have survived this episode,
whoa,
good job.
Thanks for hanging in there with that one.
Yeah,
Good grief.
This is a tough one. But you've come to the end of another.
Well, that don't sound right.
That don't sound right. Everybody will just have to go take a drink after this episode. That Don't Sound Right is a production of TDSR Podcast in conjunction with Camel City Studios. I am your sound engineer, as always. Hopefully one day we'll get another sound engineer.
Hey, man.
That's actually sound engineer.
You're doing a great job.
Our web design is by J. Peter Billman.
Hopefully we'll get a web designer.
Our premier graphics designer is Emily Billman.
Now that is something that's something we're going to stick with.
Yeah, we'll keep that.
Yeah. In fact, she's redoing our logo.
Is she really?
Yeah, she's modifying the fonts for us, so it's a little more printable, and shows up a little better.
Nice.
Yeah, it's great.
Our brand ambassador, the best brand ambassador in the world, is Brent, and as always, the first listener and listener number one is Scott.
Scott.
Until next Saturday night, keep talking.
And stay curious.